We are live now, and it is a pleasure to have you with us again on Wednesday morning, midweek. It is July the 24th, and I'm very happy to introduce to you our guest today, Marie Robinson. And we had a short conversation earlier this morning between Marie, Tim, and me, and we just said that we don't get enough women on our podcast, and yes, we're very happy to have Marie for this reason as well. But the main reason to invite her and to welcome her today is that Marie is the creator of a short film about third culture kids. As you have seen, the topic of today's conversation is that, and we're going to dive into that side of, or let's say that aspect of the life of people who are related to Japan, or not just Japan, to any other country, who have grown up in any other country of the native country of their parents or their own. And before we dive into the topic with Marie Robinson, I would like to briefly introduce one of our wonderful sponsors, Kanchu.com. So, as Tim always says, we work.
Kanchu.
Yes, Kanagawa.com. We work with them. We have worked with them. We have worked with James Howell, and they're people we can trust. The best thing about them is that they customize their services to your needs in two languages, Japanese
Yeah.
and English. So if you need bilingual services, do not hesitate to reach out to James Howell at Kanchu.com. And with that, I would like to invite Marie to introduce. Marie, please introduce yourself briefly, and let's dive into the topic.
Thank you, Maya, and thank you, Tim. Both of you guys have been actually very inspiring and also bringing topics that I listen to during your podcast and also your many posts that you post. So I just want to start by saying thank you to both of you for even caring about this topic and also bringing it to the attention of your wonderful audience that you have. And you know, me, myself, I was born and raised half my life in Japan and obviously half my life in America. My mother is Japanese. What I think is my jika, my home, is in Tokyo. So I feel like, for some reason, all my life, I just grew up in both cultures. And so you would figure that after spending, 3 decades in corporate America, first in stocks and bonds, then in the music entertainment industry, and now in a very global, large company for both film, music, what we call experiences, which is obviously resorts and various things. It just, it's something I've always gravitated to personally. And also in my work, I spent my entire life in the entertainment industry. So the way I speak, what I talk about is bilingual stuff. And, about several years ago, I found out about this term, third culture kid. And it can mean multiple things. It doesn't have to necessarily be about your children, but it is about taking someone from one culture and moving them to a different culture. And that sweet spot in the middle where we call acculturation, where you haven't given up your original culture, but yet you are in a different culture and you haven't fully acclimated, but you are in essence both cultures. And it can go in multiple ways. I mean, I look at both of you. You're clearly not from Japan, but you live in Japan. You both speak Japanese, and I hear you speak multiple languages. And yet, what part of you is still, your original culture, and what part of you has acclimated a bit to the Japanese culture, and it is clearly different for everyone. So I just made a film called Ultimate Bias, J-pop versus K-pop. And sure, it's grounded in the J-pop, K-pop theme. Definitely some very cool dancing. A couple of people in the cast are professional dancers. And, you know, I'm using that only because it happened to pop up in my head. I just know that growing up, I love J-pop. That's my jam, right? Is J-pop.
Right.
So to me, you know, it was like, okay, K-pop is very universally popular at this moment. And yet the words ultimate bias for the title has two meanings, right? And for those of you that are into K-pop, your bias is someone that is your favorite. That's what the word bias means in the K-pop world.
Yes.
So your ultimate bias is someone that is your absolute favorite, your number one. And yet I'm using that as a double meaning to say, what biases do we all have? All of us, even me. What biases do we have when it comes to accepting other people? Do we have biases based upon how they look? Do we have biases based upon how they speak, what education they have, what college, you know, they went to, what level of Kegel they speak? What kind of biases do we have? And what I'm pinpointing starting in this film is just an idea I had that seems to have resonated with many, many people about who is Japanese. In a Japanese immersion school I've created fictitiously in the middle of Virginia near DC is a Japanese immersion school, but multi-ethnic students attending it, meaning a Black girl who was born and raised in Japan, a full Japanese girl born and raised in Japan, but speaks perfect English, a Japanese looking character, but she is Japanese American. And what does that mean? And she's no Japanese whatsoever. And as a matter of fact, she doesn't really care for the Japanese culture. That's her character. And then we have another character, Soo-young, who is Korean and also born and raised in Japan. So of that mix of the main characters, are they Japanese or are they not Japanese is their first hurdle in the story. How do they deal with the biases they receive? How do they beat their K-pop rivals is the main goal of the characters, right?
Right.
And in doing so, then how do they overcome their own biases for each other? And then how do they create a family and a community that actually accepts them more than maybe their own family, which is really coming close to that line, right? And I'm privileged enough to have authentic Japanese and Korean actors playing each of the roles. And I'm privileged enough to have an actor who is half Korean and half Japanese. And we ask ourselves, if he's half Korean and half Japanese, what is life like when he goes home to Korea?
Right.
What is life like
when
he's in Japan? Is it just as smooth? And he's, you know, gone to my YouTube and created a video of his perspective. So I'm not saying this is what the solution is.
Right.
I'm not saying this is what we should all do, everyone. No, I'm not saying that. All I'm doing is giving depictions of this is what's going on out there. This is what's going on with our teens. Do they feel accepted? Do they feel community or do they feel outcast? And how can this hodgepodge of students model for all of us, even us adults, how to navigate biases, how to create community with the people that do accept you. And we all know you have to accept yourself first before
Yeah.
you can wait for anybody else to accept you. So, although it's J-pop versus K-pop, and there's some heavy dancing and a lot of comedy, little bit of heartbreak, it's definitely a social impact film, and it's just a short film. I am an individual putting my own money into trying to say something to our teens and trying to say something to all of us about the impact of acceptance on our teens and the impact of acceptance in the long haul on all of us as adults. What kind of baggage do we carry because we weren't accepted as young people? So, in a long way, that's kind of what the film is about. And, obviously, I am dual and I relate more to my Japanese side. Yes, I do eat sake and miso shiru and gohan for breakfast.
Right.
As do we
As we
sometimes.
do. That's
And even during production, we had onigiri for breakfast. And, most, I would say, yeah, a good 85%, 90% of the cast and crew were of Asian descent. Obviously, the majority of them Japanese. And I'm here in the middle of lovely Virginia, right by DC. And I can count how many Japanese actors are in the area. And so, yeah, it was very difficult to start even. But we hope that with authentic actors, ethnically authentic, that we were able to actually show and create a world that is Japan in this Japanese immersion school that is very much a hoshuko when you see the final film.
I want to thank you for creating this headspace that invites and encourages empathy. And I love it. Maya and I, we always talk about this. The most powerful thing that you can do to destroy stereotypes, to misconceptions, correct misconceptions, and to learn is to just deal directly with people, like direct contact. Otherwise, you're just getting second opinions from different people and you're filling in the blanks with whatever stereotype has been planted in your head. And, you're doing the next best thing. And that is you're showing these interactions in real time without necessarily pushing anything, just saying, here's how it is. How do you feel about this, right? Yeah. And so I can't wait to see the film. I haven't seen it, but I'm really looking forward to it. So I just wanted to thank you for that. And I guess the only other comment I would make, I mean, there's so many, but I want Maya to jump in as well. Figuring out who you yourself is, for me, maybe because I'm an idiot, has been a lifelong pursuit. And I'm 66 and I'm still honing in. I'm close, but 15 years ago I wasn't. And so for me, I came to Japan in the 80s, the 70s and 80s, and I immersed myself for 10 years. And I became a little bit too weirdly Japanese. I went back to my country and I had to recalibrate. And that process of going back and forth helped me hone in on, figure out where is my cross-cultural sweet spot. But I'm still figuring it out. I'm trying to narrow it down. So my point is, like, you may think you know who you are, but 10 years from now, you'll have a better idea. Anyway, go ahead.
Exactly. Well said.
Now, to me, what resonated strongly with me is that, first of all, we all have biases, right? And most of the time, we are not aware of those biases because that's how we were raised. That's how, I mean, they're based on our experience, right? And we all have good and bad experiences. And so, as you said, the biases, they can be positive, they can be negative, and they are so baked into us that most of the time we don't realize that we have them. And so you creating that film, I think it's wonderful because it also helps the viewers realize that everybody has biases, right? And once you realize that you have those, that's when you actually start working towards overcoming them. So I think that it's once again I repeat myself, but it's wonderful that you created that film, and I cannot wait to watch it. I want to show it to my daughter as well because my daughter, she comes from an international marriage, and of course she now lives in Japan. But you never know where life will take her, right? And of course, even in Japan, you have, well, kids of international marriages that she doesn't stand out at the moment, as you know, that's what I get from her stories from school and everything. But at some point, you know, that will probably come up, and we'll have to deal with her being who she is, and she will need to deal with who she is as well. So I just cannot wait to show your film to her, and hopefully it will help her, you know, realize that there is always somebody out there who is waiting to see you for the person you are. And sometimes, you know, it's not immediately obvious, it's not immediately displayed, you know, to you to see and to understand, but there are people out there who are just, you know, they will be happy, you know, to first maybe fight with you and then, you know, accept you
Yeah.
and you know, become friends with you. So it's and I do have actually a story from my daughter's school when she was in maybe third grade.
Tell
So
us, tell us.
right, so she played volleyball that in the school club, and there were kids from all grades, you know, in different schools as well. But at that point of time, she was the only kid from an international marriage, and of course, it nobody cared at that point of time. So I just mention it. I don't think that it has anything to do with the story, but there was a younger girl, you know, 1 year younger girl who joined maybe 6 months after my daughter joined the club, and for some reason they didn't get together very well, they didn't get on very well, right? And so it was such a, you know, my daughter, because she's also sensitive, you know, and she would come home and she would say, you know, Sakura-chan today, you know, she did that and she said that, and I would, but she probably doesn't mean it, you know, to hurt you or to do anything, so why don't you go and talk with her? But obviously, you know, that kind of conflict deepened, and then so eventually it came to the point where the coach called the parents. So we went there, yes, called the parents, and then eventually, with the help of the parents, it came, you know, it became clear that Sakura didn't actually mean what my daughter thought she meant, you know.
Oh,
Sakura was just saying that, you know, you should this and that, do this and that, because she thought that the coach wanted, you know, every other kid to do this and that. And then I thought, so my daughter, she's not doing what the coach wants. So we have to have a conversation after we go home, you know. But eventually, those two girls, so they became best friends,
of
you
course.
know. It's so funny. And of course, we had a conversation with my daughter after we went home. And the coach still, you know, kept thinking that she was not doing exactly the right things. But that's another another story, you know. So,
Yeah.
but it's yeah, it's just how it happens, you know. And we read too much into people's words is the morale for me from that story. And
It Yeah,
yeah,
I was going to say it reflects a universal truth in communication, and that is that it's not what is said, it's what is heard by
yeah,
the other side, right? To just kind of
mhm,
and cross cultural communication. It's not about sending the right message; it's about getting a desired response. And Sakura-chan was not getting a desired response from your
right,
daughter because she completely misconstrued the what was
yes,
meant. And yet, you're right. The lesson is talk to people,
yes,
assume the best, and ask questions. But
yes,
Yeah, but
yes,
also too, you know, I mean, I feel like it's your daughter that's going to help and spearhead this social
for sure,
change, right? This way of thinking in Japan that will now become the norm. the majority of the people, and initially your daughter and Sakura-chan weren't on the same page,
They
right?
were.
And yeah, even in my film, I was so lazy. I'm so sorry I didn't name them, but I have Mean Girl 1 character and Mean Girl
Okay.
2. So there's two of them, right? And literally, yeah, like you want more. It's a short film, so you're not going to get every character's backstory, right? But
Right.
why are they mean? Why are there bullies at school? What is their backstory, as we say it, in film? Why are they mean, and why are they mean to the character whose name is Crash, who is Japanese American,
Mm-hmm.
right? Why do kids bully each other? And I really I know this sounds horrible, but I love those two characters because the most simplest thing happens at the very end. And, spoiler alert, Crash throws them her very weird looking stuffed animal. And for some reason, you see the two girls change.
Yeah.
And you have to ask yourself, there's another little thing that happens too with Crash that I won't spoil, but you have to ask yourself, right? Just like your daughter did, Maya, when you put a different variable in there, you end up being friends with the person that you didn't really get along with to
Mm-hmm.
begin with. And, I'm not saying everything will turn out like that, right? I mean, I'm making this film to change the way society may look at something, and definitely to have more conversations. You're not going to leave with an answer, right? So this film will hopefully cultivate lots of conversations
Yeah.
that may not agree with each other, that may not be on the same page. And if we could all, Maya, end up like your daughter and Sakura-chan, that would be great, right? But what happens if we don't? What happens if, the reality is, right? And I even had my own personal, like, physical doctor when she said, "What's the movie about?" And I said, "It's about acceptance." And she flat out laughed at me. She just
Oh.
And it's because acceptance, what a huge thing to tackle.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's astronomically large.
Yeah.
And yet, even in, I'm sorry, I'm very proud of the cast and crew. In
Mm.
most films, when you're on set, you have so many people doing so many different things. And it took 2.5 years for me to even get to a state of production. That in
Yeah.
itself is, one, finding actors. 368 actors submitted to be in this
Oh.
short film.
Well,
And let
well,
me assure you, I am not paying. I'm not paying Marvel, Paramount, Sony Pictures rates at all. And I think that many actors submitted because, one, it was an opportunity for the younger actors to do something, and two, it was an opportunity for people that truly believed in the story to take part in something that one of the actors said clearly on set. She wanted to see herself in film, and herself meaning someone that played authentically a dual Japanese American character that was dual, not someone else's girlfriend, not, somebody in a kimono because that's the only, person that was Japanese on set. She
Mhm.
wanted to see on the big screen a character that was struggling with her identity because authentically this character, the actress that played this character, she born and raised in Japan, and came to America at an older age
Mm-hmm.
and now lives in Kentucky.
Right.
Yeah, different, not New York, not LA.
Yeah,
And
different country.
yeah, it's
I lived in the deep south. I know. Yeah.
you know, and and how does she raise her child? How does
Yeah.
Yeah.
what does she incorporate into her own? And she was great where she just was like leading the other actors and rehearsing and translating for the actors that didn't speak very good English, and then translating for the actors that didn't speak Japanese. I mean, she was obviously a spearhead, even though she was just simply hired as an actor. And so, in a way, Maya, I look at, and I don't know your daughter, but I'm thinking to myself, she's going to do great things because she is firmly rooted in herself and in
Yeah.
her identity. And that was another one of the characters in my film. Is there was one character that kind of played mentor to
Mm-hmm.
all the others for them to learn and identify and figure out who they were inside.
Right.
And as Tim said, he's still figuring out, and we're all still trying to figure out.
We still are. Yes.
Work in progress. It's a work in progress. Everybody, you know.
Yeah.
Just it's interesting. We talked about this, in the prep leading up to this, but as a kid, I guess there were times I felt like I didn't belong. Okay,
Yeah.
but I didn't really think in those terms, but I wanted to belong, right?
Mhm.
And I get it for kids. And in my case, as an adult, especially, like, I can relate to third culture kids. I'm not a third culture kid technically, but I kind of feel like one because I came here when I was 19 and I adapted and I found my sweet spot. And I guess the similarity would be that the more you adapt, the broader your vision becomes. And
Mhm.
then rather than thinking in terms of who accepts me, I think in terms of who do I fit with in
Right.
worldview, which is a reason like Maya and we should, on paper, a lady from Bulgaria who's much younger than me really who would think she would become friends with a kid from the north side of Chicago? Like, but we have the Japan experience in common.
Yeah.
And when we talk, we click, right?
Yep.
And I guess just from an old man looking back, hopefully I want to see people to learn to lean into who they are, be proud of it. And rather than try to fit where you're not welcome, find your people,
Yep.
find the people that you want to be with.
Yep.
And cultivate those relationships, because then you accept each other, right?
Exactly.
Anyway, that's an old man looking at it from this point of view.
No, I don't think you're an old man. I mean, you're not done until you're done, right? To the
Here
final.
I'm 18 right here, but
Yeah, exactly.
I'm immature as hell. That's my wife.
Yeah, it's just like we were all talking about. It's the bottom line is when you look at yourself, you can look back and see all the things that you learned, that you accepted, that you changed, all of that. But my point is, what about teens?
Right. That's where it
About
is. The
teens.
teens.
Yeah. Some of us, have teens that talk to your parent, you as the parent, right?
Yeah.
What about the teens that don't? What about the teens, especially more so in, families where their communication isn't quite there yet? Maybe the parents never learn to fully accept and validate and communicate. And so the kids don't necessarily have that skill set either, which is something that definitely
Right.
can be learned. But on the other hand, too, some people feel very uncomfortable talking about feelings, emotions, thoughts,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how many times my cousin has said to me, Mari, yuisugi, yuisugi, like
Right. Yeah.
much, right? Not talking too much, but saying more than
Right.
what people would feel comfortable with in Japan.
Revealing too
And
much. Yeah.
so I guess, and I told you this, a year ago, two of my very young friends committed suicide.
That's
How,
so sad.
and I'm not saying that even my film is going to fix some of the social issues that we have. I'm not out to do that. What I'm out to do is to start conversations
Yeah. Right.
and also have people look and take inventory of themselves, right? And we all know the suicide rate in Japan
Yeah.
for teens.
Yeah.
We all know.
Yeah.
And yet, what is going to, it's not I'm not going to say it's not a pill. It could be a pill, but there has to be, more of something in order to address social issues. And if those social issues are happening in your own home, then let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And let's get in there and not have it be so heavy, because this is actually what they call a dramedy. There is some heavy topics in this film, and obviously a lot of comedy, like the girl, like I was saying, that plays Crash, who is Japanese American. She always has this huge pimple on her forehead and she can't get rid of that sucker, and
Right.
no matter what she does, it's there throughout the whole film. And, as teens, we have a lot of things that make us feel awkward about ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Oh yeah.
yet,
Sure.
how can we create something that talks to the teens? And,
Right.
my research and analysis, I spent 2.5 years interviewing people. And you talk about, like Tim, your background, and Maya, your background is different. And, yet you came together because you had the whole Japanese thing in common. And, one of the things that I learned when I was interviewing people is that they come from all walks of life. We got, a guy that's in the UK and he's half British and half Thai. You've got someone that's never been to Japan and just chomping at the bit. She wants to go to Japan. She's of Japanese ethnicity and she does all this stuff for Japanese people in America, but she's never lived in Japan. Like, what
Right.
drives her inside to want to help the Japanese people in America, right? Something is driving her. So when I interviewed all these people, what shocked me to death is that all of their answers were nearly identical to the same questions. And
Right.
it all had to do with, regardless of where they live now or what their ethnicity, whether they were dual, full, or whatever, they all felt at a moment not
Right.
accepted
Mm.
wherever
Yeah.
they were. And then I started learning. I obviously consulted with people with PhDs in culture and all of this stuff. And they taught me something that maybe you guys know already, but I didn't know. They said there's a vast difference with families from Japan that come to America, let's say, because of their work.
Right.
Families, full Japanese, that come from Japan to America because they want a different lifestyle or a college thing for their kids. They were teaching me that although both families are full Japanese, one
Right.
is coming here because of their job.
Right.
And so they may not be that open to acculturation, to a culture seeping into their own family. Now, the family that's coming to America because of college or because they want a different lifestyle for their kids, they're more open to accepting a different culture. So those two families will react and act differently based upon the simple motivation and reason of them moving to a different culture. And I thought that was super interesting in that I'm a little weird myself because my mom has clearly said to us many times, 同じお腹から出てきて全然違う about my
Right.
sister, right?
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? And I guess, you know, you don't notice. Like, yeah, if I don't have rice or seaweed, I'm an angry person after about
You sound like my wife. She's, oh yeah, I can't let her get hungry. I have to keep my distance and throw scraps of food at her. You know.
yeah, and I'm serious. Like I can't understand that it's a physiological thing, right? It's like
Yeah.
I need seaweed. I need hot rice. You know, that's it could smell the steaming. But yet, you know, someone that is Japanese American may not feel that way, or maybe even someone that's like me. So again, I'm learning about who I am still, right?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
this day. And other people are educating me about what it means for different motivations of people coming to different countries. I think that is super interesting. And I also go, what from that can we take and learn from ourselves and with the families that we're currently in, whether they're mixed race, whether they're one race, whether they've always lived in Japan and we aren't going to move, or whether we've moved from a different country to Japan. What are we look, you know, and like measure yourselves and see how interesting that is of what you've taken on that is from the country you live in and what you've decided you're not going to take on.
So Mari, let's hold that thought because I know Maya's a little bit overdue on our friend Houze. We have to,
Yes.
you know, plug our good friends, our sponsors. So Maya, take that away, and then we'll come back to what Mari was talking about.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, and Yuka, please give me a few seconds to introduce Houze Inc., our other sponsor. Yes, so thank you very much to Houze Inc. Because, well, this is really a great help from you. Houze Inc. Offers bilingual services once again in the field of home design and reconstruction, also commercial properties as well. So please, if you are in the Yokohama area or in the Tokyo area, so do not hesitate to contact Hana Urushizawa Howell at Houze Inc. You'll find their details in the description of the YouTube video. So work with them and you're never going to be disappointed. Thanks very much to Houze Inc. once again and to Hana for being our sponsor. Okay, and we have also Yuka in Clubhouse. So recently, what happens is that we cannot hear the people in Clubhouse directly on. Right. So what I am basically the translator or the scripter. Yes. So I will relay Yuka's questions once she shares it with us. Yuka, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're on the edge of our seats. I'm sorry, we can't hear Yuka directly. She's always so funny and entertaining.
No, I will have to convey her question.
Okay.
So please wait for a moment. Okay. Right. Mhm. Okay, I will try to. Okay, first Yuka started with, saying that she's a third culture Owasan, which I don't agree with. But okay, she was born and raised in Japan, and she lives. She has lived in the United States since her early 20s, I believe. And yes, okay. So she says, do we have to be neutral? The third culture people, do we have to be neutral? Because she says that, well, I have been in the United States for a very long time, but first, I'm an American citizen, but I'm still Japanese by heart. And that's my first culture and the most dominant part of me.
Yeah.
So, Marie, what do you think?
Yeah.
And Tim?
And and that's another thing that I portray in this film. We have four main actresses, right? The one that's Korean, born and raised in Japan, the one that is Black, born and raised in Japan, the one that is full Japanese, born and raised in Japan, and then we have Crash, the one that is Japanese American, born in America, but full Japanese. So what I'm showing there is four different perspectives, right? How did they address being Japanese? Clearly, the character, her name is Misa, who is full Japanese, is going to address situations, address life from what she knows from being full Japanese. Then we have the character named Jin, who is Black, born and raised in Japan. She's going to address her life. She's going to address what she does based upon what she knows and how she's been treated in Japan and now in America, right? Then we have the girl who is Korean. She's going to address life in what she knows. And you'll see in the film that her Korean friends and family don't appreciate her moving over to the J-pop team. Therefore, we have multiple perspectives. And therefore, my answer will always be just like my sister and I, right? We come from the same stomach, but our thought processes are different. We're the same mother, and yet we have different likes.
Right, yeah.
私はここ日本人。彼女はもしかしたらここ日本人。So, what we do, what we like, what we eat, how we respond to stuff, even me, I am in America, and I have never felt more foreign anywhere else than America. And that's because I appreciate manners.
Right, yeah.
I appreciate people being considerate.
Yeah.
I appreciate when a group of us are going to sit down at a table for everyone to wait to see where other people would want to sit instead of rushing for the most comfortable seat, right? That is built inside of me. I didn't know that. So, she should be who she is.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
at whatever degree.
Yes, Yuka. Yes.
Yes. Yuka-san.
We all have our own sweet spot. Everyone has their own unique sweet spot that they have to find. Yeah.
And
I agree.
I really, I don't know, but I go, hey, Maya is different than her daughter. Absolutely.
Very much so. Yes.
Right? And therefore, I don't think there's a right. I don't think there's a wrong. I think, much like Tim and Maya were saying earlier, they have different backgrounds, but they came together because of the Japanese thing. So to me, I wish I was part of that club there with you in Japan, because I need more of that, right? There's not a lot of Japanese people in my purview right here. And yet in the same vein, I appreciate differences when I hear about them.
Oh, yeah.
Awe of Tim's life. I'm in awe of Maya's life. Maybe it's not this isn't the forum for them to get completely personal about their families, about how they feel, about things? Does everyone treat them with respect and open arms in Japan? Have they faced people that are like, huh, or like, oh, I speak good English, at them not knowing that they speak Japanese?
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are multiple things that we could talk about, but
Yeah.
everyone should be themselves and
Mm.
not try to, and that's what the film is about. It's like you've got 4 different perspectives of what
Right.
it means to be Japanese among these 4 characters.
Right.
And
Yeah.
someone wrote in the chat, where can I watch the film? And that just pulled me into, it took 2.5 years for me to try to raise funds for this film, 2.5 years to write the script, audition 368 actors, vet them all, figure out, okay, I went through 4 cinematographers, DPs, 4. The first one bailed, the second one had issues, the third one, like 4. And you can't make a film unless you have a cinematographer, okay? And
Right.
then it's like, then who's doing the lighting? Who's going, where am I doing this? The school in itself was quite hell. But, it was like, I need a school. I can't make a story about a school and kids in a school unless I have a school. And even that, like, I don't think I get the final okay till 2 weeks before we shot. So making a film is not just a monetary plunge into the debt hole, but it also is, I wanted authentic actors.
Nice. Good.
All right.
Yeah.
And that may not be important to everybody, but it was important to me. And I'm lucky because when I audition, I actually talk to actors and I find out who they are. And I cast people that are almost identical to the characters I wrote.
Gotcha. They fit.
So-
So they don't even have to act almost.
No.
They just be themselves. Right.
They don't, down to their emotional challenges.
Gotcha.
They were so right on. And I say that to go, everyone knows, when you're what is called indie filmmaker, I'm not backed by a studio. I'm not backed by millions of investors. It's just me, myself, and my pennies. And therefore, everything takes a long time. And in answer to the question in the chat, I am employed by a multi-billion-dollar media company. And because I have a non-compete, I am a nonprofit. I cannot make any money off of the films that I create.
Right.
They are only for social impact. They are only for people to learn from. I will go on an 8 to 10 month tour with the film. I'm currently in post-production. I would love for people to donate so that I can do post-production. And even that, usually in America, post-production for even a short film like mine is $30,000. I can't do that. I don't have that money. And therefore, just like in creating all the pieces of this film, you ask favors, you talk to people, you get people that are like, oh my gosh, this is about my life. I want to do this. So I'm putting together, hopefully a lot of information of where I'm going to do post-production, most probably in Vietnam or in Philippines, so that it doesn't cost as much. And then I'm going to take it on festival tours. Already 3 festivals have asked for it, and we have won 7 awards at various festivals for the script alone. And therefore, I've already been asked by a Japanese university to bring me and the film to that university to educate college students on this topic. So I'm not, I'm not Paramount. I'm not Sony Pictures. I'm not, Toho. I'm not any of those companies. It's just little old me. And I'm trying to make this film as a social impact with my own pennies. And also too, I think I'm blessed. God has blessed me to be able to find people who are actually feeling this film is talking about them. It's talking about their life. And so, I want everyone to watch this film, please. And when it comes to Japan, yes, you guys will be the first ones that will know about it. And like I said, we have, a lot of new actors. And I put out a call, not in Japan, but all over, to find actors that were authentic and that really related to the characters. And this is not going to be my last film. I'm doing another one. So if people are interested, and hey, we have people from 15 to 73 in my film. And the 73-year-old, it was her first time in a film.
That's
so
awesome.
Don't.
And as a quick teaser, you talked about recruiting these very authentic actors to play basically themselves.
Yep.
And we're going to get a sneak peek of one of those actors.
Yes.
And when you're ready, Mari, but I want to give everybody, that'll be one of your treats today. It's very, very sweet.
Yes. Okay. And I think that now's a good time. Thank you, Tim, for doing the setup for that. I think that Sanika is someone that, again, she left a professional, 2 professional companies in New York City and took time out to be in this film. And you will see clearly why. Thank you so much. And yeah, Maya, if you could play that, that would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Yes. All right. And then, yes. So then congrats to you, Marie, on completing your film. I know it is tough, but your hard work and talent really shine through. I'm proud of you. So thank you very much for this word of encouragement and appreciation. Joed. Sorry if I apologize if I mispronounce it. So let's watch now. Let's watch this short clip.
こんにちは、サニカです。今回このような素敵な機会をありがとうございます。私はニューヨークで生まれ、日本の神奈川県で育ちました。5歳の頃からダンスを始め、日本とアメリカ、ニューヨークでプロフェッショナルダンサーとして活動してきました。今日はその活動の一部をお見せできたらと思います。どうぞ。
Walking down the streets, feeling the breeze. In the sunshine state where dreams come with ease. Palm trees swaying with the ocean in view. This is the place where I always feel brand new. Sipping on a smoothie, chilling by the shore. Got my shades on, feeling like I can't be ignored. Sun-kissed skin, feeling so alive in the soft rap game. I strive to thrive. Waves crashing on the sand as I ride the vibe. Soft rap flowing, let the rhythm collide. I'm the king of this groove with the catchy hook. Got the ladies moving and the fellas shook. Understand this summer where worries start to glow. Just down the boulevard with the top down low. Music blasting loud, feeling the flow.
ご視聴ありがとうございました。私は今まで自分の見た目、文化、アイデンティティ、そして話す言葉に自信を持てない日々が長く続きましたが、今回の映画「ウルティメイトバイアス J-POP vs.K-POP」の撮影を経て自分が癒されるのをすごく感じました。私もそんな風に誰かの心を少しでも救えるような活動ができたらいいなと思っています。ありがとうございました。
And that is Sanika.
Oh man, that just hit me.
What do you think?
So sweet, so beautiful. Just, I love it. I love it. Thank you for that.
I love
That's
it.
a nice
Thank you.
clip.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you don't, it's so beautiful. And also I wanted to chime in here. I cannot show it on screen, but we also have another movie maker who is American this time and based in Japan, Deborah. So she is now actually working also on a film about a project about multiracial children in Japan after the Second World War, which is also interesting. I hope that you connect, both of you, and you can share stories and also experiences as well.
We are connected.
You are connected?
On LinkedIn, yes. She's
All right.
Yeah, she's done multiple films and they're
Yes.
all very inspiring. And Deborah, I know you're on, and you've been on this podcast multiple times. I see your comments, and I just want to let you know you are very inspiring in what you're doing. She's done multiple documentaries and all kinds of things.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
appreciate her so much.
Yeah. Okay, and we've got the comment which is now on screen from Daniel Vogel. My family lives in Maryland and attends Washington Japanese language school, so if there is a festival in the area, my girls might like to view. So, yeah. All right.
Absolutely. And actually, Washington Japanese Language School is one of my partners. So I want you to know that I went there, and Daniel, I spent a whole Saturday just observing the kids and studying them as part of this film. And they have been super helpful and supportive. So, multiple different schools and organizations have supported, but I would say that Washington Japanese Language School has really helped me a lot. And they are always looking for teachers if anyone is in the Maryland area.
Right, yes. Well, we'll be very happy, Marie, whenever you have information, with the dates and times, be it in the United States or in Japan, we'll be very happy, to spread out the word, and let everybody know, because it's definitely something that we also want to do, help people find themselves, connect people, and, make them realize that everybody on the other side, is a human being just like us, and there is nothing to fear, from that. So thank you very much for doing that. We are almost, it is almost 8 o'clock, and this is the time when we finish our
And
podcast.
I just want to say, Mari, we definitely would like to have you back, and
Yes,
we would welcome any of your actors in the future to come on, and talk about their experiences. Because again, we want to give them exposure, but we also think having that directness, that being able to interact with them would even make the impact maybe bigger and help promote.
Maybe bigger.
I
Yes.
definitely think that, a few of them would be very interested. Sonika obviously is available, and
Nice.
I'm willing. She made that video actually for you guys.
Oh,
Thank
well, tell
you.
her thank you very much.
Yeah,
So now I can't wait to meet her. I really would like to chat with her.
definitely. Yes, we'll
Yes,
be
and
very
thank
happy.
you so
Yes.
much for having me talk about the film, but mostly about this subject. We all, I think, all of us here want to help others, want to make sure our teens are safe emotionally and mentally, and through much prayer and much education and just having conversations. So thank you for having me.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much for coming. I loved it. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it very much, and we're looking forward to having you with us again. And
Absolutely.
of course, to spreading the word about, the screenings of your film, be it in the United States or in Japan. So thank you very much, Marie. And thank you very much, Sanika. If you happen to watch this podcast, Sanika, we would love to have you with us at some time when it is, convenient for you. So please
And if you're not on LinkedIn, please join LinkedIn so we can connect with you.
Yes, please do. Okay, and before we close up, once again, a word for our sponsors. Here we go. Once
There they
again,
are.
Kanagawa Chuo Jutaku, which is kanachu.com. This is kanachu.com. Please contact James at kanachu.com for bilingual buying and selling real estate services in Tokyo and Yokohama, and also Houze Inc. Hana. Uroshizawa Howell for custom design and also renovation, also for commercial building construction. Well, that's from us for today. Thank you very much for watching. It was a pleasure having you with us. We'll be here once again on Sunday morning at 8:20 with Japanese Politics One-on-One, and then again with, next week we're going to talk about business in Japan on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Mata ne. Bye
Mata
bye.
ne. Bye.
Bye bye.